perhaps you've heard or seen on YouTube about the Kessler Syndrome. Okay, the Kessler Syndrome is if one satellite crashes into another and it breaks into a lot of parts, each of those parts can be very dangerous to other satellites. And it can be like the old thing you might have seen on TV where you have a room full of mousetraps with ping pong balls on them, and you throw a ping pong ball in there, and all of a sudden it just a chain reaction. It can cause a real mess in orbit. And they're worried about this. It hasn't happened and probably won't for a while, but it could very soon be a problem where a couple satellites crash together and it starts to snowball and cause real problems. And there's been a few in the noise category on YouTube and stuff. There's been some things like NASA warns that the internet apocalypse is coming, or solar storm destroys Starlink satellites. And that's exaggeration. Basically, that all came from February of 2022. There was an incident where when SpaceX launched 49 Starlink satellites into a minor geomagnetic storm that was going on, before they could get up to their higher elevation orbit, they were the atmosphere puffed up, as you could say. It expanded a little bit from the solar flare activity, and it was enough that it caused an increase in the atmospheric drag when they were still in their lowest orbit. And then 38 of the 49 satellites fell back to Earth at that time. So that was a big deal back then. And so they kind of watch for flares now when they launch them. The ones that are already up in orbit at the correct altitude, they don't really have any problem. So the fact, the noise versus news. The news is that the flares don't really cause the Kessler effect. It could cause temporarily some satellites at low orbit to deorbit and to maybe have a problem because they can't track them as accurately. So, it doesn't help. But then again, in the long term, if the solar flares cause a few satellites in really low orbit to deorbit, and some of the debris and junk that's orbiting at that altitude, if it comes out of orbit, that actually helps prevent the Kessler syndrome later. So it's kind of interesting how that works. But that leads me to the point that there are a lot of satellites. I found a really good this site called SatelliteMap.Space is really fun to play with. It has all kinds of things you could spend hours experimenting, but I'm going to show all satellites right now. And so that's the Earth, and each of those little red and green dots is a satellite. I got to zoom in here. You can spin the Earth around. So let's go to the US. You can see what satellites. This is real time. So here over Colorado, we have some satellites going over. You can see each of these little dots is actually moving. Those are real satellites where they're at. They've done all the calculations. It's pretty impressive, actually. They got labels. You can turn the labels on and off. You can also go backward and forward in time if you want to go to last night and you have a report. Somebody saw something that might be a satellite. You can go in here and get some information that's useful about what was going over at that time. The ISS. There's a lot of different options here. I don't want to go through it all. You can experiment and have a lot of fun. Again, it's SatelliteMap.Space. The one I did want to show is geostationary satellites. Now, there's nothing here until you zoom out, because they're at 22,236 miles above the equator. And if you can see that ring, that's right above the equator at 22,236. These are the ones that they use for communication. They sit in the sky at the same spot all the time. As the Earth spins around once in a day, the satellite orbits once exactly also. And so these are geostationary. So I wanted to go from this point where you understand what these geostationary satellites are to a video that EJ caught something really interesting on. Okay, so I'll just jump ahead a little bit here. What she did was she marked where this is Orion. So you can see the belt stars of Orion and the other stars of Orion. And she put a little marker on these so you can see where they're at during this video. Now up here in the upper left corner, there's a flash. And EJ noticed that every 45 seconds, that flash would happen about the same place in the sky. In fact, as time goes on, you can see that after some time, there's the belt stars of Orion, and here's those markers. The camera is fixed to the Earth on a tripod. So as the Earth spins, then these stars drift towards the west, like the sun and the moon do also. But this flash kept happening right up here. can see it. If you watch this video, it's at, let's see, what's the name of this? It is Adventures in UFO Hunting, the Blinking Hovering Object Explained. So if you watch this whole video, you see this thing flash. The video is sped up 20 times so you can see the motion of the stars, but every 45 seconds, this flash happens up here and it doesn't move. It's right there fixed to the orientation of the camera and the Earth, not to the stars. So the stars are going past the flash actually. And we suspected maybe that's a geosynchronous satellite, because a geostationary satellite will stay in the same spot in the sky day and night, 24 hours. So that's why they can aim antennas at it for communication and not have to move them. So we discovered that that's got to be what it was. In fact, I wrote a program for the Toolkit. So that leads me to the next point. We've got this tool called geosynchronous and geostationary satellite calculation. I should technically change to just geostationary. I think I'll be doing that because it's not really geosynchronous because of the other kind of geosynchronous satellites. But anyway, this is, if it's above the equator, this tool can tell you for whatever latitude you're at, exactly where it's at in the sky. So if somebody points to a flashing spot in the sky and you can get the azimuth and elevation up to it, then, and it doesn't move, it's always at that azimuth and that elevation relative to where you're at on the Earth, then you can use this chart such that, let's say you're, well, let's see, if you're in Florida, let's say you're in Miami, which is roughly 26 degrees latitude. We'll generate the plot for that. It shifts it a little bit. So straight south is 180 degrees. The elevation of a geostationary satellite should be 59.6 degrees, right at about 60 degrees above the horizon. And if you're looking towards the southeast, you get whatever your azimuth is, and you go up here and you can see how high in the sky it should be. So there's a band across the sky where a geostationary satellite should be positioned from where you're at, whatever latitude you're at. If you're clear up in Alaska, then that's something like Anchorage is like 61 degrees roughly. You can put in as accurate as you want. That shifts the angles quite a bit. Here at 180 degrees due south, then you're only looking up about 21 degrees above the horizon to see where a geostationary satellite would be. That's just a toolkit tool that I wanted to share. And I think that's really all that I had for today.
Okay, well, the point of this is, if you're a UFO investigator and they say the same star was blinking all night in the same place, it must have been somebody watching them or something like this. This is one way to at least tell that if the satellite at least is towards the south, there's a really good chance that they caught a geosynchronous satellite. They blink so fast it's hard to catch with the naked eye, but so many people have their cameras set up these days that they might notice things like that and then report it. But if so, this is just a nice tool to be able to put some hard data with the investigation. So that's why we created that. Once we saw that and we thought, oh, we can demonstrate this, that's where we decided to create the video and then create the tool. So that's what we wanted to share with you. We're at a half hour. That's usually when we wind these things up. So just to recap, we've got the new members website and the new field on the report for the UFO CQ responses, as well as all the new media coming out, and just very exciting time for us. The end of the year and the first of next, we should be going just great guns.
Go to UFO-Track.com to purchase one of the UFO Sense boxes, or simply just join the UFO-Track membership on Patreon. Either way, you'll get notified if something anomalous is flying in your skies. The coordination of the data from many distinct sources will finally give us the proof that we need that we have exotic craft flying in our skies right now. We'll see you there. And as always, keep looking up.